Alright, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Hope everybody's doing well, and it looks like PUBG is getting probably the biggest overhaul it maybe has ever seen. PUBG finally released the long-awaited community update letter, and there is a lot of information packed into it, so it was well worth the wait, but there's quite a lot to talk about here, so sit back, relax, enjoy the video, because we got a lot to go over. And of course, if you guys don't mind, drop a like rating. It is absolutely free, and subscribe to the channel if you're brand new for more videos like this, and also just really quick as a little bit of a life update, I guess. There might be a couple of days within the next couple weeks where I cannot make videos. I'm officially a homeowner, so I'm going to be getting all of my stuff moved into a new house soon. Once I can get my entire setup moved over there, then we'll be right back to making videos as often as we are. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. I'm going to start by reading one of the opening statements. 2019 was a busy year for us, with lots of new content, updates to some of our maps, and a number of quality of life fixes. While much of this content was very well received, we know some of our efforts didn't land as well with you. We also had trouble nailing down the causes of a few persistent bugs and struggled against a relentless onslaught of cheat programs. These are some things I'll be talking about with you today. There's quite a bit to go over in each category, so I'll be releasing additional letters in the future to talk about other pressing topics. In this letter, I'll be giving you an update on some of those major areas of focus for us, including anti-cheat, performance, and stability. We may be throwing around a lot of technical terms, but we've tried our best to make everything as easy to follow as possible. Also keep in mind that for anti-cheat especially, we've tried to share as much of our plan and progress as we can without giving too much information out to the people we're trying to stop. Okay, just as a quick recap so everyone's on the same page, this article is going to be about specifically a lot of anti-cheat and stability issues and what exactly they're doing about them, and they go into tons of detail in this letter, and I've read through all this, and it is very like game dev talk-ish, and a lot of it is very hard to understand, so I've condensed all of the important points down, and I'm going to, I guess, tell you them myself as essentially what they're getting at. So I'm going to read the opening of their anti-cheat letter. They say, "The fight against cheat programs is a never-ending and something that we've been trying very hard to find a solution for. Last year, we spent time working on various measures to block cheat programs. Most of these actions focused on blocking cheat program developers to make it more difficult for them to create these highly lucrative cheats. As these cheat developers excel at adapting to our measures, we chose to keep these efforts secret to increase the time it takes for them to react as much as possible. The unfortunate side effect of this is that it makes us look like we're doing nothing against a high priority issue. This year, we will be making improvements to ensure players can feel the impact of our efforts." So the actions they're taking with this is really interesting. They say that they're going to be enabling a two-factor authentication system. So you know how like when you sign up for something or you have an account that's locked down, you will get an SMS token sent to your actual personal cell phone? Well, it looks like they're going to be implementing that to some degree with your PUBG account, especially to participate in ranked games, they say. Many people were losing their accounts through like phishing websites that would steal their information based on fake promises. They say that in order to participate in these ranked matches and to give the fairest experience for everyone, there's going to be a one-time password through the two-factor authentication system that will let you into these games. This should, in theory, significantly decrease the rate of account hacking and just general security as well. And so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And they're also going to be implementing some new vulnerabilities in the code and patching those out. When it comes to the gameplay specifically, they're going to be implementing algorithms that detect abnormalities. So for example, with weapons, they say they're going to be reinforcing the server authentication related to the gun's firing angle, recoil, ballistic trajectory, etc. If it doesn't line up and if it doesn't feel natural to the game, then it's going to get suspect. Same thing with vehicles and character movement. If they're basically functioning in a way that the game feels is not right, then that's automatically going to be a flag for that system. The only potential downside to this is that sometimes there can be false positives out of this, but it is very, very unlikely. They also go into what they're going to be doing next to detect cheats even better and then ban those cheaters or provide more punishment. They basically talk about a couple of algorithms that they're implementing that should make their job a little bit easier to detect obvious cheats and also some non-obvious ones that should be getting better. And then they also talk about the topic of hardware bans, which we've mentioned in the past. Basically, a hardware ban prevents somebody from just like getting new accounts and to keep cheating, and it permanently bans the actual, PC hardware. But they say the problem with this is people were able to find ways around hardware ID bans by simply replacing one component of their system, and then they could get right back into the game very easily. And also there's ways to change the hardware ID of the same like components themselves. Pretty much they're saying that hardware ID bans aren't nearly as effective as some people think because there's still loopholes to get around even what is arguably the most like permanent and final punishment as far as cheating goes in online games. Now, they also mentioned they're going to be strengthening the level of bans, and this is pretty wild. Listen to this. The majority of temporary banned users convert to a permanent ban, but a small portion are cleared due to either lack of evidence or us finding that the account was falsely flagged. Our goal is to avoid false bans as often as possible, so we're cautious when taking action against an account. However, we've come to realize that being too cautious here can negatively impact far more people than the suspected account. Thus, we're changing our investigation methods to be more strict against accounts that have been temporarily banned on suspicion of using cheats. In addition, we will be targeting suspected cheaters for additional monitoring. If an account has been temporarily banned at least once, it will be added to a management list to be investigated further, sometimes including live monitoring of how they play the game. Now, so if you are a temporarily banned user and you're still under suspect of cheating and your account is, I guess, labeled as suspicious, you may be being watched by PUBG developers and, getting your gameplay monitored by them to see if you are actually cheating or not without even you knowing about it. They mentioned in order to apply these measures, we'll need to reestablish our existing policy standards. So their plan is to apply these in June of 2020. So we'll have to re-agree to the terms of service and the policy that PUBG puts out. So be expecting that relatively soon. Seeing exactly how they're going to be handling cheating in the future is really interesting. And I want to know what you guys think about these measures that they're taking. Is this how you would go about it? And do you think that this is the right choice to make? I'm very curious your guys' thoughts because some people could say that the whole live monitoring thing could be somewhat intrusive. Regardless of if you think the measures are overkill or not, no one can really say now that they're not doing anything about anti-cheat because this is actually a really big step what they're taking. So we'll see how all of that plays out. Next, they talk a lot about performance and stability issues, and this has been another big thing for a lot of people. Now, when it comes to connections and networking and all of that, they mentioned that most of these issues that we've seen this year were to prevent DDoS attacks, which were happening to their servers quite often. And this explains the high ping and packet loss that many of us suffered for months during this time. The good news is most of that has stabled out for virtually everybody, and they now have a lot of systems in place to prevent that kind of stuff. Now, they talk about actual in-game performance issues with people's systems not working properly, and this part of the letter gets really game dev talky, and it's going to be really hard to understand for the average gamer, people like me who just don't really understand a lot of the game dev talk terms, and it's kind of like a foreign language. So I'm going to just kind of briefly summarize what they are getting into, but they fixed a lot of optimization issues with streaming and hitching, and they're also going to be optimizing issues with GPU and also animations. They're trying to always improve the back-end stability of literally everything, and even improvement for low-spec PCs. They want to make sure it's more of an even playing field. Now, originally PUBG Lite was designed for that very reason. It was a version of PUBG that wasn't nearly as heavy on your computer as the original one was, but if they can sort of close the gap there between low-end spec PCs and then even the ones that they're meant to run on, then that could actually end up being very good just for the community and game as a whole. They also say that they want to be able to fix client crash issues in a very timely manner, and they're going to be working way harder to do so. Now, if you want to read all the details of what they're doing about this stuff, I'm going to leave the link to the full notes of this in the description below. But again, it is very game dev talk, and if you're not really familiar with that kind of stuff, it's going to be literally a foreign language to you. Before we move on, one really interesting thing they bring up and I want to talk about is they're talking about enhancing build verification process, which is another thing under stability improvement. And they mentioned this. They're going to be they create a testing environment with 100 users using AI. Performance tests are already run where there are 100 players in a match, but player count and results can vary. By utilizing bots, we can run large-scale tests similar to the actual gameplay environment as often as we want. So essentially, they can run simulations using these bots to, fix issues and that sort of stuff for the real game. But if bots are already made, potentially we could see this integration into the actual PUBG game itself. Where it's appropriate, of course, maybe if there's a somewhat dead queue or something cannot run without bots and it needs to fill in players, if this AI is already being developed or is developed, then potentially that could be something we can look out for in the future. And they just kind of low-key sneak that in there into the patch notes, and that's actually kind of a big deal. We'll see where that thread goes. I feel like with future content, and if they maybe decide to do more experimental game modes and things that maybe not everyone is going to be down with, there'll be some implementation of bots in that. We'll have to wait and see. I think it could be a good idea if done correctly. Let me know what you guys think about that. Now, also for Season 7, PUBG is implementing a creator code system very similar to Fortnite, where if you were purchasing in-game items in the shop, you can use a code of like a streamer or a YouTuber, and then, you know, a portion of that will go to them. Now, this is only for PUBG partners right now, and as we've talked about before, of course, I'm not a partner. I really think a lot of people would benefit from having their own creator code. That's what Fortnite did really well, is they gave it to like as many people as they could, and that's absolutely huge for those individuals. So there's a lot of people in the PUBG community, you know, some up and coming creators that I think absolutely deserve their own code. They're only giving it to a very specific few people right now, but hopefully this changes within Season 8. That's what they mentioned on Twitter. So hopefully that opens up to the rest of everyone else to apply for. That'd be nice. Was probably one of the coolest things about Season 7, I would say, or at least something that they're doing, because honestly, Season 7, as far as like content and hype, didn't really hit as hard as I think a lot of us were expecting. Of course, the season is going to continue to evolve as time goes on, but just the initial release of the new Vikendi and the Mosin, which is basically just a Carnage 8 reskin, people weren't just super stoked with, but this is like a cool feature to look out for. Now, I want to read the final closing statement as well. They say, "We understand that when we do not communicate with you, your natural instincts are to assume that we don't care about these issues. We're working very hard to improve not only our communication, but also the issues we described in this letter. We've got a lot of great content planned for this year, and we want you to be able to enjoy it without wondering when your next crash or issue is going to be. I've said quite a bit already for one letter, so we're going to release further communication on another issues at a later date. Also, thank you for your patience while we got this letter out. We felt it was worth a little extra time to fully articulate what we've been working on and what our upcoming priorities are. The PUBG team is aware of the importance of providing a stable environment. Thank you for your continued patience and feedback. Thank you and stay safe." Okay, so basically, I think that this letter was the thing that everyone was looking out for. This is finally great to see, and this pretty much hit the mark on every single problem that, as far as major issues that people are facing, and I think a lot of answers can be found in here, and of course, there's going to be future letters like this, hopefully like once a month or something, that provide this kind of insight into what they're doing in the studio. I would absolutely love to see that, but indeed, a lot of things are changing about this game, and with these implementations rolling out over the next month or so, there's going to be a pretty big overhaul to this game, and I'm hoping it's for the best. So I'm really looking forward to what they have to offer and playing this game in the future. Let me know what you guys thought about this entire update and what they're doing with their game. And of course, there's going to be future updates as well that I'll keep you guys covered here on the channel. So make sure to drop a like on the video if you haven't, and subscribe if you are brand new around here. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there will be maybe a couple of days where I can't stream or make any videos because I'll be moving my entire setup to a brand new house. And so I've got to get moved in there, get settled in, and then we'll be right back to making content. So thank you guys for supporting the channel all the way. You guys have been absolutely amazing. As long as you guys are still enjoying PUBG, we're going to continue to, you know, make content on the game on this channel, and there'll be plenty of other stuff as well. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who stuck around through literally everything that we've gone through. So it's been great. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay inside, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream or the next video. Have a good one, everybody, and peace out.